I think it was like 10 years ago, I heard a quote, not a quote, one of my friends said something. He was like, if you tell one person you trust something that's a secret, then they will tell one person they trust your secret, who will then also tell one person they trust your secret. And if I'm being honest, that wrecked me, because then I was like, yeah, I'm just not gonna tell anybody anything ever again, because I don't want people to know my business, what's going on, or any part of it. So in one way, I was at that extreme. And another way, depending on who it is, I'm like an open book. I just won't withhold anything, which does have its downsides to it, because sometimes you might be oversharing. Actually, I don't know. Can you overshare? Maybe. Depends on who it is. But when I think about some of my closest friendships, there's this level of transparency, level of vulnerability that I don't have in other friendships. Especially as a Christian, I think a way that we can truly look more like Christ is through vulnerability with other people. Because as you welcome people into your life and into your mess and your brokenness, they can walk with you, but also point you back and point you to the one that we are following. Being open and vulnerable is such a scary thing, because you're letting go, you're almost losing control over what you know about what's going on in your life. If I'm struggling with something and I just keep it to myself, I can, as best as I can try and solve it myself, work on it, not involve anybody, and it'll either get better or it may honestly get worse. Sorry, it's really hot out here. I'm filming on my patio, and in Florida right now, it is a lovely 86 degrees, but it feels like probably in the high 90s. So there's a few pieces of encouragement that I want to give you as you take the step to be open and vulnerable with somebody you trust. One, you're probably not the only one going through or processing or feeling the things that you're feeling. It's easy for me to sometimes think that I'm in an isolated chamber where nobody will truly understand what I'm going through, but A, Jesus already knows and he can relate to you. And two, I'm holding up 3 fingers. Of all the people in the world and all the people in your circle of friends, somebody's gone through it too. Secondly, sometimes you just need to be the first person to go in order for others to also open up and be vulnerable. It's such a scary thing. It is daunting to entrust somebody with what's really going on inside, but as you're vulnerable with people you trust, they too may also open up with what they're going through. As a follower of Jesus, there's power in being open and being vulnerable with where you're falling short or getting hung up on. James 5:16 says, confess your sins to one another and pray for one another that you may be healed. For the prayer of a righteous person has great power as it is working. We can read about the freedom and the healing that confessing and being open with one another so that they can come alongside you and pray with you. But I know you may be thinking, okay, well, how do I even find the people to open up to if I don't have anyone to do that with? A couple of things for that. Join a church if you're not in a church. Join a small group at your church, whether that's the young adult group or the college group or the young working professionals group at your church. And then I think a simple and obvious one is to reach out to somebody who you respect and see if you can just meet with them to share with them something you're processing and going through. And then a couple of easy conversation starters or deeper questions that could open up the possibility of being vulnerable. 1, what was something that you had to process through this week? 2, what were some high points and some low points from the past week and why? 3, how did you see God move this past week, or how did God speak to you this past week? 4, what's something that you don't want to do again this next week? In my life, I know there's been so much freedom and progress made when I am vulnerable, because when I invite somebody else into that, sometimes I just need somebody to listen. Sometimes I need somebody to actually speak into it and either refute the lies and tell me the truth that I need to hear, or encourage me and say, hey, this is where you should go, or this is what I think you should do based on what I've gone through too. There's still that part of me though that's saying like, oh no, don't share this, because you're just gonna give people the opportunity to get hurt once they start sharing and being more open with their friends. But if it's the right people, I think the pros far outweigh the minimal cons that there are. And if we're being honest, if the God of the universe knows you to the deepest points, he knows every little bit of hair that's on your head. He knows every skin cell that's on your body. He knows how many times you blink each day. He knows how many breaths you take. He knows the diameter of your lungs when they expand to breathe in air. He knows your entire story, your brokenness, your imperfection, yet he still loves you and chooses you and pursues you. That should give us the freedom to then open up to others, because we know, hey, my God won't reject me. My God won't betray me. My God won't be unfaithful. And so in the unfortunate event that you're earthly relationships, your friendships on this earth do, you can rest in knowing that God won't fail you. God won't cheat you. I think to the degree that you understand that and apply that is the degree that you can start opening up to others and creating some truly amazing friendships and relationships. On the screen now is a video that I think you should watch next, and join me over there in that video.